There are several important setup features to understand prior to implementing timesheets. There are two configuration screens found under List Configuration and the Employee section. They are Business Pay Types and Pay Periods. Pay types are the mechanism for inputting non-billable time and possibly billable time on the timesheets. If you are processing payroll through OnTarget, then the pay type setup becomes even more critical, as they will represent the various ways in which an employee gets paid. Please watch the pay type video to learn more specifics about this important setup. The pay period screen will need to be configured, as the pay period is what allows the user to create their timesheet. Without a pay period, a timesheet cannot exist. Click the Add Pay Period button and add the start dates and end dates accordingly. The visible checkbox will control when the pay period is available for selection on the timesheet. You may want to manage this so that only current pay periods are visible, which would prevent users from selecting incorrect pay periods. The pay period selection is critical when you are using OnTarget to process payroll, as the pay period of the timesheet has to match the pay period entered when processing payroll in order for the time to integrate. Each pay period that is marked as visible is then a potential selection in the Timesheets desktop when adding a timesheet. If the pay period was not marked as visible, it would not yet be displayed in this list until marked as visible. Back at the Configure desktop, the Edit Company Settings screen provides some points of control for how time is inputted on the timesheets. The Disable Billable Records on Timesheets checkbox controls whether or not billable time can be manually keyed in the timesheet. When checked, this requires all billable time to either be imported into the timesheets from the notes once they are approved for payroll, or from schedules if that option is enabled. When notes are implemented, it is recommended to enforce the import of billable time from approved notes by disabling the billable records on the timesheets. This setting does apply to all timesheet users. Let's take a quick look at a timesheet to see how this rule takes effect. When you disable the billable entry, there is no billable option when adding a time record. Only non-billable time can be keyed here. When billable time is allowed to be keyed, then when adding a manual time record, you will see the billable option. You now have the choice to key billable time versus non-billable time. The other control point in Edit Company Settings is whether you will enable scheduled time to import into the timesheets. Again, if notes are implemented, it is typically recommended that the notes are the source for billable time. However, you may choose to allow schedules to create billable time depending on your implementation of the schedule. And the last setup item is to assign employees to their reporting supervisor. This link is managed under the Employees desktop in the Employee Record. The staff member responsible for reviewing and approving the timesheet should be listed in the Reports To field. Once that assignment is made, the Reports To user has access to the staff's timesheet for approval purposes. You are now ready to begin implementing timesheets. See the video titled How to Create a Timesheet to learn more. For any questions, please contact our support department by going to Options, Support, and Contact Support.